Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, James Clear was right in his book Atomic Habits. We don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our habits and expectations and systems. A 1% improvement compounded daily for 365 days makes you mathematically 37 times better over time than where you had started. The heart of our case is that the narrative of consistency is able to trump intensity and allows people to improve over time. This is through small, consistent, smart iterations, as I suggested in my point of information, that can lead to radical long-term improvement and self-actualization when you're able to exercise your choice and agency to pursue despite adversity. This debate is about what the narrative of consistency does on like a competitive professional level to the top people who are trying to be an exemplar in their craft, to the average person trying to be a better version of themselves, and what this ultimately does to society. It's not a debate about it being harmful in a vacuum, because in the pursuit of something great, there are going to be certain drawdowns and backlash and naysayers and pressure. It's about, absent this kind of narrative, would that be more or less harmful? A few things on side negative. Number one, what does the narrative of consistency do and what does it look like? I don't think it's what the previous speaker mentioned, like try until you die, hard work at all cost, and becoming delulu and crazy, because the average person knows how to be able to pivot. But in the worst case and instances where people don't and they stay on the course of trying, they significantly improve the end point at the point in which they persevere and become significantly better off than where they had started. What is the nuance to the narrative? Why is it important of consistency? Because on average, the average person is average, or basically, to some extent, we're all kind of mid. Now let's take a look at this on a competitive professional level, right? Not everyone is going to be able to be a champion. Not everyone in F1 can be a Max Verstappen. Not everyone in the UFC can be an Anderson Silva or a John Jones. Not everyone in debate can be a David Africa, Boseo, or Ryan Lafferty. May you rest in peace. This is because of multiple structural barriers. Things like the birth lottery and the victim of circumstance, being innately skilled in your craft to the point that your progress is linear, or in some cases of these exemplars, exceptional and ultimately compounding over time, and the access to opportunity. Boseo said it in his book, right? The debater book thing. He said that they had a very small chance to win. In WUDC, you have 500 teams times 2, 1,000 speakers. And mathematically, they only had a 0.2% chance of being able to win. So even if people are able to like work hard and be consistent, I don't think the outcome is the sole thing we're able to look at. Because this pushes people to be able to compete and persevere amidst adversity. Case in point, no shame. Last weekend, Matthew and I in the round 4 of a tournament went against awesome Asian champions from the Philippines. We got absolutely wrecked and lost by like a double-digit margin. We're here the week later, pulling up, doing our best, and trying to be able to showcase because we appreciate and love what we do. As a consequence, for people competing, it creates a rally point for underdog stories, for them to be able to rally on their decision to be able to be better, and creates and allows communities of people to coalesce against them. And the direct response to the previous speaker is that there will be naysayers, there will be pressure, there will be haters. The consistency allows you to be able to have the hope, to be able to believe that you can be better. And even if you're never going to be able to win that world championship or be that actual person you want to be, you're significantly better off than where you started. This is specifically attributed to the narrative of consistency because of experimentative iteration that allows you more data points to be able to learn, improve, and get better. That is what carries you in days where you're not motivated, you feel bad, and you're ultimately not wanting to do the things that once made you happy. This creates a sense of discipline that can push the people trying to be competitive athletes significantly better. Before I move on to my next part, go.
I'm from India. I'm from a middle class family. I can't go to WADC and my consistent efforts do not pay me off. Where am I left now?
But you're significantly able to still persevere. Heck, it's nighttime and you're competing in this tournament. There will always be structural reasons, but that consistency of not giving up in your craft allows you a chance to be able to persevere and potentially be able to maybe get grants, be able to get funding and lobby for those dreams. Even if you never be able to compete in WDC, I hope that you still love debate, just like what I do, and ultimately be able to care about these things and be actualized with yourself as a human being. Second part of the speech. How exactly does this affect the average person? Because it's not about just the competitors. It's also about the vast majority of people. People who do pickup games for basketball. People who go go-karting instead of F1 racing. People who play pickleball. And it's quite funny and ironic talking about this in like a competitive debate kind of competition. What this does is that it gives people a chance to be able to improve and gauge their process primarily through those particular data points that can allow you to be able to do better. Consistency trumps intensity, and the problem with intensity is that it's very based on circumstance, very based on motivation, and ultimately, you're able to gauge realistic results and expectations. As someone who's been debating for some time, I might never have a chance at the national or world championship of my dreams, but ultimately, it still allows you to be able to be a better version of yourself, and the narrative around that creates communities to be able to lobby. As such, it ultimately allows people to continue trying and continue excelling amidst adversity. The previous speaker talked about pressure, talked about failure, but those things can be redefined, right? Because pressure in a competitive setting is something that gives you the adrenaline to be able to persevere to the point that I'm sure we all love the pressure that we get from judging, from organizing a tournament, from debating. But we think on our side, uniquely through consistency, we're able to redefine the lens of failure at the point in which you don't have to necessarily be delusional about the expectations because you're able to compare that with the realities that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, consistency trumps intensity. We are very proud to stand on side negative.